So we're on pelvic floor core training, level 2. If you are unaware of what a kegel is, or you haven't done our level 1 version of this workout, check it out right up here. We're gonna give a lot of good direction on how to properly get into a kegel, and it'll set you up with our isolate and activate portion of our pelvic floor training. So if you're ready for your level 2 today, we're gonna be working on isolate and integrate. So we're gonna start with a few basic pelvic floor kegels and start moving the body along with doing the kegel. We're gonna do some pelvic tilts, we're gonna do some McGill crunches, and we're gonna do some bird dogs. We got a few movements that we're gonna do that are gonna start to challenge your core a little bit harder. Now you can always take what we did in level 1 with that kegel motion and take any core exercise and add in that kegel into it once you feel comfortable with that motion. So without further ado, we're gonna get started. We're starting on our back with just a basic kegel exercise just to get things warmed up. We'll start with a little bit of pelvic tilting. I always like to warm up for any pelvic floor and deep core workout with a bit of pelvic tilting just to get things warm. So let's take your hands on your hips, and we're gonna start by pressing your lower back into the floor. Lift your tailbone, but try to keep your feet nice and light. And then we're gonna do the opposite. So arch your back, create as much space under your back as you can, and press your tailbone. And we're just gonna go back and forth for a little bit, just getting your hips warmed up before we move right into the actual kegel work. Just move back and forth at your pace. Okay, that's time. All right, let's start with some basic breath kegel work. So take your hand under your lower back, and we're gonna mark off that neutral spine position again. So just make sure that you can fit your fingers under your back, but not your entire palm, just to make sure your spine is in a neutral position. And we're gonna start with a deep breath in, fill your lungs, try not to move your spine, and then we're gonna exhale like you're a leaky tire. Exhale and suck your stomach in, and start that kegel motion. Find your maximum, and we're gonna try and ease into it. Hold, and then ease off of it. So as you breathe in, allow your pelvic floor area to fully relax. And then we're gonna exhale like a leaky tire, and pull your stomach in, draw it in nice and tight. Pull in with the kegel, hold, and then inhale. And let's go again. Breathe in, relax, exhale, suck in your belly, pull in for the kegel, try to slowly increase it, hold, and exhale and relax. And let's do one last one. We're gonna breathe in, relax, exhale. As you exhale, suck in your stomach, increase the kegel slowly but surely, hold your maximum, 1, 2, 3, and then breathe normally for just a little bit. Let's go back to a couple of pelvic tilts. And now we're gonna add the kegel motion into a pelvic tilt. So now we're gonna be drawing your stomach in, increasing the kegel again, just like we're trying to squeeze it slowly into its maximum hold, and then slowly let go and relax on each one. So we're gonna time this also with a pelvic tilt. So we're gonna take a deep breath in and arch your back, create a lot of space under your lower back. And then as you go, we're gonna exhale, flatten your lower back, suck your stomach in, and kegel, and create a lot of tension all through the midsection here. Hold, and then inhale, arch and relax your pelvic floor. Exhale, pelvic tilt, suck in your stomach, hold, and then inhale, arch and relax everything. And then we're gonna exhale, flatten your lower back, suck in your stomach, kegel, hold, inhale, come off of it and relax. And let's just keep that motion. Exhale, pelvic tilt, suck in your stomach, kegel, and then exhale, arch and come off of it. And let's do one more. Exhale, kegel, suck in your stomach and hold, and then inhale. And let's return back to some basic pelvic tilts here. So we're gonna do one last pelvic tilting motion. This time we're gonna lift our knees so your feet are lifted into a tabletop position. So double check in with your stomach. So we wanna watch out when we're doing any type of crunch, leg lift, anything like that for what we call abdominal coning. So especially if you're postpartum, we wanna avoid this. So if you take a look down at your stomach while you're doing any kind of crunch motion, and if you notice in between your 2 rows of abdominal muscles that a point forms between your abs like this, call that abdominal coning. It just means the exercise is a little bit too much for your pelvic floor to maintain tension between your abdominal muscles. This is a little connective tissue called your linea alba, and the muscles underneath we want to be able to keep tight. And that's literally just some of your insides pushing out through that little wall of connective tissue. So we want to avoid that just so that you don't cause any further separation or anything like that. We want to be able to maintain the tension. So double check when we're doing any type of crunching, since your legs are going to be lifted, it might cause that little bit of coning. If it does, just do this next one with your feet on the floor. So let's go ahead, bring your legs up into a tabletop position, check in with your lower back, make sure there's no coning, and you can take your hands onto your knees, and your hands are going to hold your legs in position. We're going to continue with those same pelvic tilts. This time when you exhale, suck your stomach in, and kegel. Try not to let your knees move in. Keep them still, so we're doing the pelvic tilt just with your core muscles, and then hold, and then as you exhale, arch your back and let go. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to begin with 5 reps. So let's start by pelvic tilting. We're going to breathe in, exhale, press your lower back flat, suck your stomach in, and kegel, hold your back flat, and then exhale, relax your hips and arch. Let's go ahead, exhale, flatten your back, suck your stomach in, kegel, hold, and then let go and inhale. Let's do 3 more, exhale, flatten your lower back, suck your stomach in, kegel, and then inhale, arch your back and relax. 2 more times, exhale, flatten your back, kegel, hold, and then inhale, arch your back and relax. And let's do one last one. Flatten, kegel, hold, and then inhale, arch and come up. Awesome. Okay, so excellent stuff. We're gonna move into a McGill crunch, which is a little bit more of a challenging deep core exercise. So let's take one foot flat and the other foot lying straight. So we'll start with our right leg foot bent with your foot flat, left leg flat out in front. Take both your hands and place them so that they meet like this underneath your lower back, and have just enough space under your lower back for just your fingers to fit, but not your whole hand. Okay, so for the McGill crunch, we're gonna start by lifting your elbows up off the ground, and then crunch your upper body. And as you crunch, exhale with that kegel position. And then if you're able to without coning, lift your foot and hold 3, 2, 1, and then lay back down. And then again, we're gonna start by lifting your elbows, then inhale, exhale, get that kegel, hold, lift your foot, 1, 2, 3, and then lower. So let's aim for 8 of these. Again, we're gonna lift your elbows, lift your shoulders just enough so that you don't flatten your lower back, exhale and kegel, lift your foot, and down, that's 3, and let's continue 5 more at that pace. So inhale, let's lift, and down, that's 4. Inhale, exhale, lift, and down. It's normal to feel some shakiness. Let's get 3 more, inhale, exhale, and down, and we'll get 2 more, inhale, exhale in, and down. Last one. Inhale, lift, and down. Excellent stuff. So take your feet so that both feet are flat and bring your feet a little bit wider than your mat. Let's just take a rest by swiveling your hips side to side. Take about 30-ish seconds, and then we're gonna move on and do the exact same thing with the other leg before we move into some vacuums. It's just something to do while we're resting. May as well get a little bit of hip movement. Okay, let's lie back to center. So take your left foot bent so that your foot is on the floor. Let's take your hands again to meet underneath your lower back so your fingertips touch and that you've got contact with your spine, but you're not smushing. Let's go ahead and begin. Deep breath in. Lift your elbows, lift your upper body. Exhale and hold 1, 2, 3, and down. That's 1. Okay. And let's go ahead. Inhale. Exhale, lift. And down. That's 2. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale, lift. That's 3. Let's go again. Inhale. Lift your elbows. Exhale, lift. That's 4. Halfway through. Let's go ahead. Inhale. Exhale and lift. And down. Make sure while you're lifting, you have a little bit of space under your back. Let's go ahead. Inhale. Exhale, lift. Good. We got 3 left. Inhale, exhale, and lift. 1, 2, 3, and last 2. Inhale, exhale, and lift. And 1 last one. Inhale and exhale. 1, 2, 3, and that's time. Awesome. Okay, so that is our McGill crunch. That is something that I recommend to do quite frequently, especially if you are working on your pelvic floor. So let's come on up. We're going to move into hands and knees, and we're going to start with a TVA vacuum before we move into our last exercise for today, which is going to be some bird dogs. So I'm going to move my shirt up here so you can see my belly. So we're going to try to come into a hands and knees position. So keep your knees right below your hips, hands right below your shoulders. And then from here, we're going to basically try to breathe in and check in with your lower back. Try not to move your spine at all. So you're going to breathe in and press your belly out. And then as you exhale, suck your belly button in as far as you can without rounding from your back. So ideally you want to keep your spine nice and flat while you do this so that you're moving just from your waist. It helps to think about when you're sucking your stomach in, not so much about front to back, think about more making your waist small from side to side. Okay? So we're just going to do a couple of reps here. We'll start with 5. So take a deep breath in. Allow your belly to relax and expand, and then exhale. Suck your stomach in as much as you can before you feel like you're gonna round from your back and hold 1, 2, 3, and then let go of that. Take a couple of normal breaths. I'll move my shirt so you can see. Okay, so we're gonna take a deep breath in. Allow your belly to expand, and then exhale. Suck your stomach in as far as you can go without rounding your back and hold 1, 2, 3, and relax. Awesome. Take a couple normal breaths. Deep breath in. Let's exhale. Suck your stomach in. Get as tiny of a waist as you can without moving your spine. 2, 3, and relax. Let's get 2 more times. So deep breath in. Expand your belly. Exhale. Keep your spine straight. Try not to move your back at all. Just suck in with your belly. 2, 3, and relax. And we're going to do 1 last one. So deep breath in. Exhale. Get your belly as small as you can. Hold 1, 2, 3, and rest. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to move into our final movement, which we call a bird dog. So in this movement, we're going to be lifting one arm and the opposite leg. So starting from that hands and knees position, we're going to begin the movement by doing a kegel, and at that vacuum that we just did, bring it to about 80 or 90% of your max effort. So it shouldn't be something that is like completely max out where you can only hold it a few seconds. Bring it to almost all the way. We're going to extend and hold, and then as you're extending and holding, then try to max it out. Okay, so it's going to look like this. So let's go ahead and from your hands and knees, we'll start with our left arm and right leg moving. We're going to alternate all the way through. So let's go ahead, breathe in, expand your belly. Let's start the TVA vacuum. So vacuum in to about 90% of your effort so your spine stays straight, and hold that. Press your right hand firm into the floor. Press your left shin firm into the floor. And then let's lift your left arm out in front, and then lift your right leg back. Try not to move anything in your body, and then suck in the stomach. Extend your arms and try to max out that kegel from this position, and then back down we go. Okay, that's it. Let's do the other side. So let's take a deep breath in, exhale, bring the kegel to about 80-90%. Press your left hand into the floor, press your right shin into the floor, extend your right arm overhead, keep that kegel, extend your left leg back, and extend, reach as far as you can while sucking your stomach in, and get that kegel position. 2, and then time. There we go. And let's go ahead, other side. So press your right hand into the floor, left shin, kegel to 90%, and extend,
As you've extended, push your arm and leg away from each other and suck the stomach in, and then back down. Excellent. Try to maintain that neutral spine. Let's go ahead, press your left hand into the floor, right shin into the floor, lift your right arm and left leg, push your arm and leg away from each other, suck your stomach in, hold, and back down we go. Right hand presses, left shin presses, extend your left arm and right leg, push away from each other, suck in your stomach and hold, and back down we go. And then press your left hand into the floor and right shin, lift your right arm, left leg, extend, suck your stomach in, hold. Let's do one more on each side. Let's go ahead, push your right hand into the floor, left leg, extend your left arm, right leg, extend and suck in your stomach, hold. Awesome, and one last one. So push your left hand and right shin into the floor, extend your arm and leg away from each other, and suck your stomach in, hold, get that kegel. And that is it. Excellent. So that is our level 2 of our pelvic floor training. Now that you know how to do our kegel, how to do that core breathing, you can add this type of breathing to any exercise like I had mentioned during the workout. That abdominal coning, that's going to show up in things like planks, crunches, sit-ups, hanging, leg raises, anything like that. If you do notice that coning happening, try doing the exhale like this and doing the Kegel motion, and then do the exercise and see if the coning goes away. If it doesn't, try to find an alternative until you rebuild the core strength to avoid that coning. Okay, thanks so much for joining, guys. I know this is different than what we usually post, but with Allison having given birth to baby number 3, this is mostly for her. So hopefully you guys got some help from it too, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.